Just quickly, before we get into today's video, a big thank you to our sponsors for making this year's Computex coverage possible. Check out Corsair's fancy new RGB memory, and for a limited time, purchase any select MSI Intel-based motherboard or gaming desktop and get a free game pack worth up to $180. With titles such as Warhammer Vermintide 2 or X-Morph on offer, you can't go wrong. Check the link in the video description to learn more. Welcome back to Harbour Unboxed. Today, we're in a park. Not on the showroom floor walking around with all the hustle and bustle there. We're just in a park taking it easy. Actually, that's not quite true. I am on my way to the Grand Hyatt. We're going to go up to the 25th floor to the Corsair Suite to see what products they have on show for us this year. I've heard there's some pretty cool RGB memory, so definitely want to check that out. We all love a bit of good RGB memory, and of course there are some cool cases as always. I want to see the 1000D. It has a really cool custom liquid cooling loop in it, and get a few ideas for mine. So anyway, let's go do that. Alright, so I made it up to the Corsair Suite and they actually let me in, so that was great. And my first stop was indeed the Corsair 1000D because, well, just look at this build. It really is simply amazing. Inside there were a heap of alpha cool bits. The two large reservoirs looked really impressive, along with those two truly massive front mounted radiators. Like the 1000D build that I'm working on, this rig used Corsair's ML series fans exclusively, and in total there were 25 of them, so airflow certainly isn't an issue here. Nestled amongst all this glorious hardware, it has to be said Corsair's new Vengeance RGB Pro Series memory really stood out and complemented the build nicely. I know this is highly subjective, but I personally feel like this is now the best looking RGB memory out there. Corsair has managed to include 10 programmable LEDs per module, which are diffused by a translucent strip that runs from end to end. There's also small cutouts in the sides of the heat spreaders, and these light up quite nicely and really add to the effect. Giving the user full control over the 10 embedded LEDs is the new IQ software. Corsair did launch a few beta versions of its unified IQ software a few months ago now, but at Computex 2018 they did finally strip the IQ software of its beta status and is now officially releasing the software. Included in the software for the Vengeance RGB Pro memory are dozens of presets, and I spent quite a bit of time playing around with them. You can even program individual modules, which is a nice touch, and apply a completely different effect. This would be pretty awesome for those X299 and X399 builds when loaded up with 8 modules. Additionally, supported keyboards, mice, AIO coolers, power supplies, fans, and other RGB accessories can be controlled through the IQ software. This means synchronizing of lighting across an entire system is possible as long as you are using supported hardware. That said though, should you already have Gigabyte's RGB Fusion or MSI's Mystic Light software installed for example, then the utilities supplied by the motherboard makers can be used to adjust the lighting on the Vengeance RGB Pro memory. This is a nice offering by Corsair, and it prevents the need for unnecessary software for just a single product. However, if you do have multiple products that are supported by IQ, you're certainly going to want to use that instead. For those of you that aren't into bright lights, never fear, it's not all about the bling. Corsair hasn't overlooked performance. The Vengeance RGB Pro Series supports XMP 2.0 for easy overclocking by loading optimized timings at the click of a button. Corsair also says they'll be offering up to DDR4 4600 as well, and they've been able to successfully overclock that particular memory to 4700 mega transfers, so DDR4 4700. They said that this is possible thanks to a finely tuned PCB and carefully selected ICs. So great to see some fancy looking RGB memory that can also support extreme overclocks. As for availability, the Vengeance RGB Pro memory will be available sometime in June 2018 in either black or white, while the IQ software is freely available for download right now. Also on display were two new cases, the Obsidian 500D RGB SE and Crystal Series 280X RGB MATX case. The Obsidian 500D RGB SE features smoky tempered glass, and the 3 LL120 RGB fans on the front set this apart from the standard Obsidian 500D that we reviewed earlier in the year. The case is available now directly from Corsair with a suggested price of $250 US, but it will be available from authorized distributors shortly. Then we have the compact Crystal Series 280X RGB, which comes preloaded with two LL120 RGB intake fans connected to a Lightning Node Pro controller. This is a unique dual chamber case designed to maximize airflow for all the critical components while also providing a convenient area to dump all the mess for those lazy system builders. I know I can certainly appreciate that. The dual chamber design also allows the case to offer a substantial array of storage, with room for two 3.5-inch drives and three 2.5-inch drives, so a small form factor needn't mean small capacity. The Crystal Series 280X RGB offers the choice between black and white finishes, and those not particularly fond of RGB can also keep a low profile with the standard version. Corsair says these models will be available immediately for $160 US and $110 US respectively. Although the 280X supports standard ATX power supplies, Corsair has released a few new great-looking SFX power supplies. The new SF series packs an 80+ premium certification and come in a 450 watt or 600 watt capacity. These new models are rated at 94% efficiency under maximum load and are advertised to use 105-degree rated Japanese capacitors. They also feature a fully modular design using new individually sleeved cables and include an SFX to ATX mounting bracket. They're expected to launch in July, but we weren't given any pricing info. There were plenty of other Corsair products on display, but most of them you're likely already familiar with. One product I did check out that I hadn't seen previously, at least not in person, was the K63 wireless gaming lapboard, designed for the K63 wireless keyboard. This is basically a second generation lapdog, and while I didn't actually mind the original lapdog, it was quite heavily criticised, and while the lapboard is significantly better in pretty much every way. The K63 keyboard is also a fantastic product in its own right, and I'm going to hound Corsair for a few of them for my test systems. Wireless mechanical for the win. And just lastly, I did check out the HS70 headset. I tried on both the white and special edition models. I only wore them for a few minutes, but they seemed very comfortable and they did sound fantastic. I'll be sure to test these out in a bit more depth in an upcoming unboxing boxes video. Well, we started this video in the park, so I thought, why not come back to the park to end it? It is raining. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but whatever, we're still going to do this outro in the park. I've got some Corsair bags. We've got a few goodies in here for Tim and I, so Tim wasn't able to join me on this one, but I'll take that back to him. Anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed the Corsair Suite. Some cool products on show this year for sure. I am getting very wet now, so I better wrap this up, but I hope you enjoyed the RGB memory, and we'll have more videos coming to you real soon. I have to run right now.